Okay, so thank you for coming out. I know it's a beautiful evening, and I really do appreciate you making it here. Our goal is to make this presentation just so riveting that it starts a buzz in the community so that next year we pack the house if people want to come. If you don't mind going ahead and click. We did want to start with our mission and some of the accomplishments that we're all proud of. I mean, everybody in the school and everybody in the community, just so we can drive home, just so we can drive home the point that when we're asking the local tax base to support us, and we do appreciate the support that we've had for years, we realize that that money is for the students. And when I talk about what we're proud of, we're able to give students in Candor the level of education that they deserve, one that their families can be proud of, and one that can take them where they want to go. That's the goal. That's what we need to do with the budget. And like our mission says, that the mission of the Candor community, the whole community, is to challenge our students to become responsible, knowledgeable, contributing citizens within a caring environment where lifelong learning is valued and differences are accepted. And I get to see that every day being in school. Now, if we go to the next slide, I did want to give the building leaders and department leaders just a chance to highlight some of the things that we do that we should all be proud of. I could talk about all the things that make me proud and happy that I had the opportunity to come to Candor. I could keep you going all night, but I'll start with the junior, senior high and ask Mr. Amy just to say a few things about what we've been able to do.
Well, ultimately what I want to do is shake the students' hands at the commencement ceremony. That's the ultimate goal. That's what years and years in school, that's what we're trying to achieve for our students, given that the readiness to go on in college or careers. And we're very fortunate. This past year, we had a 93% completion rate. 91% of those students received Regents diplomas, and 36% of advanced designation, which is not easy to do. So our kids have had a lot of success. We've had a lot of success getting to the point where they were able to succeed and get through school successfully with their diplomas. And then college credits. TC3 has been a great partner for us at the school. The concurrent enrollment courses mean that students can earn high school credit as well as college credit. And each year, and I find this is amazing, each year we have close to or over 1,000 credits earned from each graduating class. And if you if you take that into portion college, at the SUNY tuition, that's almost $300,000 that we're saving our community. So it's a tremendous opportunity for our students, and we are one of the school districts in TSD BOCES region anyways that takes advantage of this as well as anyone. We do a great job with that. So, and that's on our teachers who are willing to be concurrent enrollment teachers, and it's our students who really challenge themselves. And we have had over the past 4 or 5 years, we've had a half dozen students graduate with their associate's degree prior to their high school diploma. That's pretty impressive. So I'm glad we can offer that to our students. 65% of our kids are going on to college, either 2-year or 4-year colleges. And obviously the rest of them are going either military or into their careers. And we offer a lot of CTE classes, both through BOCES and here within our building. CTE is career technical education. And we have a culinary arts program, got a food services program, we have health services program. And Steve Lindrich, I'm sure most of you have heard of the tremendous work he does down there with our tech program. So we have a lot of opportunities to get our kids prepared for those careers. Fine arts, a lot of opportunities, both musical and in the art classes. A lot of concurrent enrollment courses there. So kids who are artistic and want to challenge themselves and thrive in that area, we have a lot of opportunities for that. As far as student support, 2 guidance counselors, social worker, administrators, we're all there for our students. We want to give them the support they need. COVID's been a difficult time, and for everybody, particularly for our kids. And coming out of COVID, we're just there to support them and help them with whatever social emotional needs they have. And lastly, participation. We need kids to participate. We need them to feel included. So we have 14 clubs and organizations beyond the athletics that we offer to our students just to get them involved, let them participate, let them feel like they're part of the school. That's some of the stuff we have in high school.
And the high school faculty and staff and leadership are able to do that because the kids come up from the elementary school really well prepared. So I'll turn to Mrs. Volvaselli and Mr. Ahart to talk a little bit about what the faculty, staff, and students at Candor Elementary School.
Hello. So the first thing we have listed here is our ELA pre-K all the way up to 6th grade curriculum. We assembled a curriculum council and we studied the strongest approach to teaching reading, which is the science of reading. And then in turn, we were able to research some of the curriculums out there that exist. We had 6 of them come in with their materials and present to us about their curriculums. This year, we rolled out brand new curriculums. Pre-K to 2nd grade has Super Kids. 3rd grade through 6th is implementing side-by-side, again, brand new research-based ELA curriculums. That's been a lot of work that our committee, there was a representative from each grade level that came together to represent that committee and do that important work in order to make sure that we had the best curriculum that we were putting in front of our kids. Matt?
This year we developed a math committee, and the math committee primarily focused on, in the beginning, to prioritize our math standards. So we were vertically lined throughout our building, and not just throughout our building, but that work trickled up to the junior, senior high school as well. We've done a lot of work with the math committee on our early release days, and we've been, in our building, the math committee has provided the math teachers at each grade level valuable resources for implementation in their classroom. But the biggest piece there is the vertical alignment that we hear so much from our teachers, that they want to have an opportunity to talk to grade level above, grade level below, and every grade level has a representative on the math committee team. But that prioritized standards works really proved invaluable. And we're also, that math committee really researches research-based practices and provides research-based practices and programs to the building itself as far as
And then the next point that we wanted to talk about is our inclusive education. And this, the co-teach model is that our students with disabilities are fully included in every classroom. So they are integrated with their non-disabled peers, and this is a great opportunity for all students to learn. And then we also have a 612 classroom in the elementary school, which is a self-contained classroom where students with more severe disabilities that benefit from being self-contained can receive their education mainly in that setting, but also are integrated for special areas and other classes math specialist, along with our school psychologist, grade level teachers. And what we do within that committee is we make sure that students who are struggling in any way academically get the support that they need. So that committee comes together, looks at what the needs are with individual students, puts a plan together. We're then implementing those interventions, revisiting how those interventions are working. If the child's showing progress, great, we'll tweak something. If not, then eventually it may lead to a CSE evaluation, but we make sure that the child has had an opportunity to succeed with interventions before we just jump into a special education evaluation. So that's our RTI committee.
Wayne sort of spoke to the student support team in the high school. We also have a student support team in the elementary building, comprised of our mental health staff, administrators. And what the goal of the SST team is really to provide families and students resources to be successful. If the students aren't in a good place mentally, social emotionally, then they won't access their learning. So that's really the goal of the SST team. Our social workers, psychologists, counselors, they all take an active role in providing the family, the teachers, and the students resources to be successful in that thing.
And then the new teacher mentor program is something that we have led by 2 mentor teachers in the elementary. Just this year we have 5 new teachers, brand new teachers, year 1 teachers. We have several other teachers that are in their 2nd, 3rd year of teaching, and they also receive support through this new teacher mentor program. We have our music, our art, our library, our physical education programs all have accomplishments within their own departments. Take me a long time to stand here and explain to you all of the wonderful things they do in their programs. I know Kim will speak a little bit about music and art. Responsive classroom is
So responsive classroom is really a mindset that aligns with our vision of I was just talking about with the caring environment, providing that caring environment. We do that through morning meetings. We have a morning meeting every morning throughout every classroom in the building, just giving the students that space to have those social interactions with each other. There's morning meeting, there's resources for responsive classrooms that teachers have access to provide kids with activities to be successful socially. Because that's really where we identify that students learn just as much as they do academically as through those social interactions.
And then the last one is student achievement. That's really everything, that we're talking about. All these things that we do, supports are provided so that students can achieve, so they can be successful and feel successful. We did see at our midpoint that the middle of year diagnostic, we saw some great gains both with our ELA scores and our math scores. We look forward to seeing how the scores, what type of progress is shown with our end of year diagnostic. It's been a while since we've had a full year of consistent instruction, so we look forward to seeing that. But again, all of these things that we spoke about play into ultimately our student achievement levels.
And then all of the programs are supported with technology, whether it's supporting student learning, supporting faculty and staff productivity, or supporting our communication. And being a small rural district like we are, I'm very proud and impressed with what we can offer our students through technology and offer our community. And that's been done by our technology department and our business officer through grants, knowing what we need and making sure that we take care of what we have. So even when things get broken, students have an opportunity to make it right. So Mr. Geller, if you don't mind talking a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to thank families and students for their stewardship of the computers that we put in their hands to take home. So we have one-to-one devices throughout the grade levels. In the middle and high school, students take those home so they have access to the learning opportunities that teachers are providing them. And while they're here, they have a safe, reliable, fast network to connect to, and the teachers have that so that they are able to access any resources that are available online. Part of accessing technology is learning how to use it well, and we provide digital citizenship through our SDL program and through learning opportunities in high school. We use the software that we purchased to do a number of things. One, just for students to access the learning opportunities, but also for teachers, as Ms. Boficelli was talking about, the growth data that they use is software, and using that data and knowing how to use that data effectively to inform their instruction. We in the technology department is sort of one of our key things for supporting teachers. Using that technology to support the 4 C's, creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking within the classroom, while students are accessing a wide variety of learning opportunities. Esports and competitive gaming has become more and more popular, and there are many opportunities actually for scholarships, for college scholarships in esports. It's not just kids just sitting at home gaming all the time. There are, it sounds hard to believe, but opportunities for careers in competitive gaming. And so we are trying to support that, and we can do that here on our network. And we also are live streaming events like this.
And then athletics, I'm going to ask Mrs. Carmen, and Mr. Dayhart to talk about the opportunities that students have with athletics. And in a small rural school, where students have a chance not just to participate, but they have the opportunity to excel and get some really good instruction.
Okay. So we have 20 varsity level teams. We also have 20 JV and modified level teams. We have 22 merge teams. We're actually having a meeting tomorrow to talk about next fall and what that will look like for the merge teams. So this past fall we had 116 fall participants. We had 105 winter participants, and then in the spring we had again 116 participants. 120 scholar athletes is pretty impressive to have that many students that are reaching this 90 and above, right, for scholar athlete. And then 12 scholar athlete teams, so they take the averages of the team together and add it up, average them, and we had 12 scholar athlete teams, and that's prior to the spring season. So pretty impressive. Pete's going to talk about the mentoring program.
So the coaching mentor program is something we developed with our veteran coaches this year, with the help of our veteran coaches, to help the new coaches that are coming on board, whether they're teachers or not teachers, coming into the district, first year, second year coaches, just to teach them the ins and outs, so they meet frequently to talk about policy, procedure, practice plans, everything in regards to sports to create that successful program for our student athletes. Taking our programs from good to great. That was really the mindset between the coaches in developing that program.
And then the professional development.
Yeah, and then the professional development, there's several opportunities that we've provided this year. Because of COVID, many of the opportunities have been virtual, so they've been accessible by the coaches. It is hard to get coverage for coaches throughout the year to go to professional development, so having those virtually, we can record them, or we can sit in a room and have 4 or 5 of us together is very valuable. So we provide opportunities for coaches.
And for the fall and winter sports, we've had 7 championship teams. We've had cheerleading, football, boys soccer, volleyball, golf, bowling, and then individual wrestlers that have had championship teams.
And again, we don't stop at sports. We also have fine arts and performing arts and opportunities there as well. Yeah, Mrs. Nichols.
So, first, I would just say it's a privilege that our community keeps an emphasis on the fine arts, always has. I think that's something that we're all proud of. But we start with elementary school. We have art classes and music classes for all grades, pre-K through 6, pre-K through 12, as we include the secondary level. And every grade level has a chance to attend classes in the elementary school. At the high school, they have separate classes for art. Noted on the slide are 9 individual high school art classes. But then there are also the different exhibits and concerts. So again, elementary school to high school, whether it's in-house, district-wide, if it's a local competition, local participation. We have our musical in the spring, but our kids have lots of opportunities when it comes to the fine arts. And we have participation in NISMA, which is the New York State School Music Association. And I know COVID shut that down just a little bit, but we've always had elementary, junior high, and senior high students that participate in NISMA. We have our all-county music festivals for chorus and band. And I thought about it, the national anthem performed at local sporting events, but in addition to that, I believe, I saw an email even at our Kiwanis, the Key Club, we had some of our local musicians perform for the regional meeting just recently. And the last is another, I think, point of pride is that Candor has been recognized as the best community that supports music education. So again, fine arts, and the thank you goes back to our community for supporting the fine arts in our schools. And it's all about opportunities, and it's for all kids. Katie mentioned our inclusive setting at the elementary school, but pre-K through 12th grade, our fine arts programs are open to all students, whether they're non-disabled students, disabled students. They have the opportunity to participate in class, but also in the extracurricular areas for the fine arts.
And I'm sure everybody in this room has driven the roads of Candor quite frequently. This year I've done it quite a bit. I was blessed to be able to drive the roads and hills in the morning that we ended up delaying or canceling school, and I was blessed to drive there in the mornings where our neighbors were canceled, and I had the confidence, talking with our director of transportation and our transportation supervisor, that we could bring the kids into school. There were two blessings I could have done without, but they were good. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Karen and maybe Mrs. Anderson to talk a little bit about our transportation department.
Okay. So we have 65 passenger buses, so the large buses, we have 16 of those. We have 5 mid-sized buses. For this year, we got a 44 passenger bus, which has been great for some of the sports runs and our postseason run as well. We have 4 7-passenger vans that are used sometimes daily. And then, so 14 daily routes that include our in-district runs, TST BOCES, we have 3 buses currently that go there, Untitled BOCES, and our North Spencer and Spencer Met runs as well. We have 26 drivers right now, that includes our sub-drivers, and that have over 138 years of driving, and they're dedicated, they're awesome drivers. Our drivers cover approximately 300,000 miles a year, which is pretty remarkable. It just goes, it kind of explains why we create buses every 5 years. We put a lot of mileage on them.
Yep. So all these wonderful programs and opportunities that we have for children have to happen somewhere, and that's our facilities. And that's just another point of pride for all of us, and I know it's a point of pride for the community. We have beautiful facilities. The school looks wonderful, it's welcoming, students have a warm, comfortable place to learn, but all that costs money too. So our school contains approximately 217,269 square feet of just instructional space. The district maintains an additional 6,000 square feet of non-academic space. And there's a little better than 28 acres, when you put it all together, of fields and playgrounds and sidewalks and courtyards that we have to maintain. So when you think of those of us who are homeowners, what it takes to maintain a home, well, it's multiplied a little bit. And unfortunately, with COVID over the last couple of years, some of that maintenance hasn't been done the way it normally was. Not bad, but so we have to address it. Mrs. Wade and I have started up a facilities committee, and we're building a 5-year plan. And it's a 5-year plan that never ends, because we'll plan out what we can accomplish in 5 years to maintain or improve our facilities. But before we finish that 5-year plan that we're starting now, the next 5 years is already started. That does a lot for us. It helps us maintain the property, obviously, but it also helps us stabilize your tax rates, so that as debt comes off the books, more debt will come on, and it becomes very smooth, and we'll be able to keep this, not just for years, for generations is the goal. Well, I thank everybody for telling that. So, I want to give you a quick overview, and then we'll go into more detail. And Mrs. Wade will go into more detail about the budget. But the budget that we're proposing this year is $19,888,840. And I realize, for a small community, that's a very big number. It is not out of line with similar sized communities or out of line with bigger communities that have bigger budgets. And I won't put it up there if I didn't think it was a very conservative, reasonable budget. Now, all right, so what does that mean? You know what you have for a school system and for programs. This budget represents a 4.67% increase. Again, that seems like a pretty big number. But let's step back and think that right now, and for the last several months, and probably into the foreseeable future, we've had about a 7.5% inflation. So this budget will handle inflation, maintain our programs, and at the same time, we're able to do it through the help of all the administrators, everyone who works in the schools, looking at where we can tighten our belt a little bit. And by doing that, even though we could have a tax levy limit of 2.9. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, 2.09, thank you. We're going at it at 0. And that took a lot of work. It was not something we did quickly. But what we realized is this year we were able to do it, not just because the governor came through, and that's part of it, but mostly because this community has supported the school for so many years that we were in a position to say, hey, if we can move just a little bit of money in our local taxpayers' pocket, it's the right thing to do. It's a way to acknowledge it and show our appreciation. We also realize that many of our faculty and staff are also community members. So it's a way of recognizing that they work hard to keep costs down and keep the quality of education high. That's what the 0, that's what it's meant to represent. And we'll talk a little bit more about why it fiscally works this year, where you can't always do that. The way schools are funded, there's a state portion, if we're lucky, there's some federal money, and some years more than others, that's a little less reliable, and then there's the local. This year, we're still collecting taxes, of course, we're increasing 0%. Okay, there's also a proposition to purchase the buses that Mrs. Carring talked about. So that's 3 65-passenger buses, and the total that we can spend will not exceed $300,000. That's proposition 1. Proposition 2 is to purchase a 1-ton pickup truck, and that includes a plow and salter so we can maintain our facilities. And that sum is not to exceed $90,000. We did just auction off a pickup truck that was close to 20 years old and in very bad shape. So it really is time for another one, and that will pay off over 5 years. And then the last thing we'll be voting on are school board members. We have 2 vacancies in the coming year, in the coming term, and we have 3 candidates: Anna Murray, Becca Bish, and Hope Van Squad. We'll come back around to that. Okay, to continue the overview, I don't want to belabor it, but the district is able to offer that 0% increase in our tax levy while maintaining programs, in part because Governor Hochul's budget has restored a significant amount of money that's foundational, which districts, not just Candor, have been shorted for years. And there was a settlement. They're going to punish that money to foundation aid over the next couple of years. For Candor, the foundation aid is projected to increase $674,000 in 2022-2023. And then Candor has also gotten $1,566,560 in federal stimulus grants to address pandemic-related learning loss and enrichment and expenses. Now, again, it seems like a really big number. We're able to move some of our faculty, some positions onto grant money, but we also have to plan for that so we don't hit a financial cliff 2 years out. Okay, with all this, I was just looking at the headline and 13.
You didn't think I was doing my job.
What's important to everybody, I know everybody on staff, everybody on the administrative team, because I heard it again, and I believe it's important to everybody in the community, is if we're tightening up our belt, students shouldn't feel any pain. I can tell you there's some adults sitting right here in the front row that are going to feel a little pain in the heck already. And I appreciate that, them taking it out. But we wanted to make sure that we were able to maintain elementary class sizes. We were able to maintain high school class sizes and electives. We were able to still support the 100,000 outlay project to start doing some of the work that needs to be done in the facilities. This budget allows us to continue managing our health insurance costs so we can effectively offer quality health insurance through our self-funded program. As I mentioned just a minute ago, the plan allows us to move some of the teachers that are now on grant money back into the general fund, so that 2 years from now, we're now looking at massive cuts or even minor cuts. And I think that these people really do, but this budget's allowing us to do, is just maintain our administrative support. That's even though we are reducing 2 full-time administrators, all of these people have taken on extra duties, extra responsibility, lengthened their workday so that we could do that. So we're reducing 2 positions. We are adding a currently a teacher on special assignment, so doing pretty much the same job, to our administrative team as a pre-K-12 technology coordinator to help support everybody, and students and teachers, as we mentioned. And all of this is possible with minimal impact. And it just seems should be people saying, yeah, although my plate's pretty full, I'll take on this other piece, or I'll take on this other piece. So I'm proud and humbled to share that.
Okay, so I'm going to pick up and talk a little bit about the budget development process. This is traditionally how we've done this process, and Brent is going to talk a little bit about how we see this process continuing in the future. But speaking to this year and previous years, we start the budget process back in November, and through November, December, January, we've got administrators and supervisors and department heads projecting their needs for supplies and program supports. Then in January, the governor's budget comes out, and we get an estimate of what our spending is going to look like, and that's really where the budget process starts with steam, and we can plan for our revenues and how that's going to work out. In January, February, and March, our budget advisory committee meets, and we go through the expenditures and the revenues, and start trying to get a finger on what that final number is going to be for our budget. And then in April, the governor puts out his final projected budget number, and at that point, we can really zero in on what the revenues are and what our budget numbers are going to be, the total expenditures. And also in April, the Board of Education accepts the expenditure plan. And then in May, now we have the official budget book.
And it is incumbent on the superintendent to put together the budget with the help of a lot of people that I can present to the board and have adopted. I like a lot of input on that. So when Mrs. Wade and I talked about the process and how we can get more input, invite more input, that's what I'm going to talk about next, is just stretching this out. So our budget process for the coming year is starting July 1. We start balancing the books, preparing our ST3, which is a report that we give to the state, but it's also public record. It's really just our balance sheet, the balance of our books. That's when, in September, I'd like to have the first budget committee meeting. Now, we've had a great budget committee meeting. It's consisted mostly of administrators, all of the school board, and I appreciate the help. It helped a lot. I'd like to see more community members come to those budget committee meetings because they are open. And the first one will be in September when we look at what we've been able to save. And good questions are, why didn't you save more? Or why didn't you spend more here if you think a program was shorted or lacking? And those are questions I'm more than happy to address and fix if everything's not right. And my idea is, I'm a pretty smart guy. I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room now or ever. And none of us is ever going to be as smart as all of us. So the more participation we have, the more we do well. To invite participation, I'm going to not drag it out, spread it out, and be really, to the point that I'll start probably annoying some people, because I'm going to ask for participation. I know not everybody can do it, but it's more than welcome. So when we have our balance sheet, I want to have a budget committee meeting to say, here's what we have, and answer those questions. Then we have to make decisions, and I have very clear, definite ideas about what I want to do with any leftover money, but where do we put it in reserves and why? And then we'll go from there into an earlier session about looking at projections. What's the fiscal outlook for the next year, 2 years, 3 years? What can we predict accurately, and then how do we have to adjust what we're doing now? Starting a little earlier with the department chairs, working with their departments to say, how well is this budget? And when I say a little earlier, as early as November, and some real numbers to their supervisors by January about answering questions. How well has this year's budget served our students so far? And what do we want to adjust now? What do we want to adjust later? So again, you can just see the cycle is just going to go a little longer, but I think hopefully it'll be a little more thorough. I'll be putting it up on our website, so it's a little, again, just to invite people. I don't want to say it's more transparent, because it's always been a matter of public record, but I want to put that information out. That's what you can say.
So this is just a chart showing the history of our total state aid number that we've had. And you can see for 22-23, we're projecting a very nice increase, which is great to see when you see these numbers, 1.7%, 2.5% decreases. So a 5.65% increase, which equates to $712,000, is really nice to see that kind of support coming from the state. And taking a little bit of a deeper dive into that state aid number, this is specifically our foundation aid, and Brent referred to our foundation aid, increasing and the governor making us whole over a 2-year span. So we can see a big chunk of that increase happening for 22-23, so that's an increase of about $675,000. This is a picture of our revenues. Looking at this, the revenues are fairly similar year over year, but I have to tell you that when I look at this, I see mostly that we're very reliant on state aid at 66% and 67%, and our real property, our tax levy amount, which is our local portion that's supporting the budget, that's about 30%. Okay, so then looking a little bit, at a detailed approach to the revenues, there's that $712,000 increase in state aid that I was talking about. And as Brent mentioned, the tax levy increase is 0. That number is the same year over year. We're decreasing our reliance on appropriated fund balance by $25,000. And we are putting back in this budget using the employees' retirement reserve for $200,000, for a total increase of about $887,000 year over year. So we're looking now at the budget broken down into the 3 parts, the tripartite budget, which is the administration, the capital, and the instruction or program portions of the budget. So looking at them, it's fairly similar year over year, but you can see our administration component decreased from 10.8% to 9.8%, so that's down a percentage. We're down 0.4 of a percentage in capital, and our instructional component has increased, is projected to increase 72.2% to 73.6%. So we're breaking out those tripartite components, and this is the administration component. Looking at that, more closely, the administrative team, Brent, really, we took a very close look at every dollar so that we would be able to, save where we could. So normally I look at these and I pull out the big numbers, but I also want to draw attention to the small numbers because there's a lot of thought that went into all of them and finding efficiencies and reductions where we could. So, that reduction in the Board of Education line, that is recognizing that we're going to be using NISBA to support our board versus the Area Policy Service. So we're able to make a small reduction there. And then besides that, I've seen the central administration, that's a small increase in salaries. Same in finance, we have some breakage there with new staff, so there's a small decrease. An increase in records management, which is going to BOCES and helping us get our archives on an electronic format. And then under other special items, the largest item on this page is a decrease, which is actually it's a BOCES line item, our contribution to the BOCES capital project, which we made last year, so we're going to pull that out of the budget for this year. Under that supervision line, that's an increase in the salaries, and then corresponding the employee benefits below it. This is a look at a detailed look at the program component of the budget. This is the section of our budget which has the biggest increase. So you can see that instructional line with an increase of about $440,000. That's primarily made up of mostly special ed costs, and also some increases for salaries. Same thing for transportation. There are increases for salaries. I was keeping notes because there were just so many items, and I want to make sure I'm covering it. It's also fuel increases because we are expecting to see some significant increases in fuel. And then in the community service line, that decrease of $31,500, that is because we are able to take what we were using through BOCES and funding our summer program, and that's now on a federal stimulus grant. So that's able to come out of the budget there. And then, because we have such a large increase in salaries in this particular section, we've got employee benefits that are increasing correspondingly. And this is our final section of the budget, the capital component. Primarily looking at these, you're going to see operational plant increasing, and that is due to salaries and we have fuel costs for the heating to the plant. That other special items is a BOCES reclass, was moving from another budget line to this budget line. And then transportation purchase of buses. Holly is very much needing to buy another van, and you just can't buy a van on $20,000 budget. That doesn't cut it anymore. So we're happy to be able to put some money in that and keep our vans safe. And then in employee benefits, you're going to see that corresponding increase in benefits, related to the salaries going up in this section. And then we had some debt service falling off, so a decrease there. Just a look to kind of see how the budget, that $18.9 million budget breaks down, and give you guys an idea of, where the money goes. So salaries, as you can see, is almost $8 million. That's the bulk of this budget. The next biggest expense, that corresponding fringe benefits number. And then, of course, BOCES services, we spend quite a bit of money there. Debt service is our next biggest. And then some contractual insurance and supplies. And here are the numbers behind those, the graph that we were just looking at. And you can see salaries in total are increasing about $290,000. We've got some increases in equipment, increases in insurance and supplies, a little bit of contractual expenses there, and that's things like heating and fuel. Small decrease overall in our BOCES services, and there's that decrease in debt service that I mentioned a couple slides ago. And overall, whenever you see an increase in salaries, you're going to see an increase in fringe benefits that are tied to that. So, budget to budget, it's an increase of $887,000 approximately.
So, I don't think so. Someone told me a little while ago that I'm pretty competitive, but that's not why I did this. I might be, but I think more I'm a learner. So I asked Mrs. Wade to talk to every business official in the area, and I talked to every superintendent. And I did compare what we're doing and why we can do it. Again, seriously, I was just trying to learn so I could learn from others and not make mistakes to see what other districts are doing. So these are just four other districts, I'm sorry, that are our neighbors and also in the southern tier that were similar to ourselves. They didn't compare us to a big city district or even a much larger district. But you can see third row from the bottom, the size, the number of students in each district, and then what they're doing. our tax cap limit, as it's already been mentioned, would be 2.09, where our neighbors are 2.61, 2.70, maybe less, 4.89, and then 2.88, much less. So, and then what did we do with it? Well, we're coming out at a zero for all the reasons we've explained, and because we can't, because we, as a community, have put us in that position, and because the faculty, staff, and administration looked at where we could save money. The increases that we pointed out to you, the things that are pretty much out of our control. It's either contractual, or it's supplies, or fuel that we have no control over. So we tried to tighten up everywhere we could. And again, there was a lot of work and consideration by a lot of people. We were able to do that. We're not the only district in the region and the state that's going at it as a zero. Some of our closest neighbors aren't. But other districts, one of those smaller north of us, about our size, is also able to go out at a zero. Much larger district, a little closer, just like Portland, is also going out at a zero. And this year, when I look across the state, it's more all over than it's been in the past for a lot of different reasons. When we look at our neighbor number 3 coming out with their cap at 4.89, well, they're there because they have some serious issues, and they've had some building, construction, but they still have to go out at 14%. That's huge. And, you know, my first question is, well, how in the world are they able to do that and not have the administrative team run out of town? Well, their property values, their assessments, have gone way up. So that 14% is going to be eaten up by commercial property, which is the difference to the tax payer of a single family home is not going to be as great as that looks. Okay, that makes sense then. We can't do it. We haven't seen that rapid rise. We've seen rises, but not that rapid in our property values and assessments. So again, we looked at everything. We wanted to double check, make sure, you know, this is maybe the competitive part. Nobody did anything smarter or better. And I don't think anybody's smart. It is. Okay. So, just you know, I keep talking about going out at zero when the cap, what the state says we could go out without a super majority with is 2.09. So how much money are we really talking about? Is the question I'm sure people would have. And that kind of calculates out to be $124,560. That is a significant number for a district our size, with a budget our size. But we were able to save that much. And instead of doing something else this year, it made more sense to let our local taxpayers keep that money in their pocket. They'll do something with it to stimulate our economy. I know they will, and keep us, the community in line. So it was more important to acknowledge the support the board had, thank you for it, and go out with an increase of zero. What are we able to do? Again, this is why we were able to say, yeah, we're comfortable going out at a zero this year. We're able to maintain our class sizes and our programs. It's projected to stay consistent. The district's current tax rate is $21.98.58 per household, and that should be the same this year. I can't guarantee that for any one household because if your assessment changes, that might change. That's out of our control. We go with that. So the budget vote went. It's Tuesday, May 17th, and right here from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. And recap of what's going to be voted on that day. Well, it's the budget, our expenditure proposal of $19,888,840. It also contains 2 propositions. Proposition 1 is for the purchase of the 3 65-passenger buses. Proposition 2 is to allow us to borrow to purchase a 1-ton pickup truck, including plow and salter. Again, the district cap, 2.09, We're asking for an increase of 0%, and there are 3 candidates for 2 seats on the Board of Education. And the candidates are Anna Murray, Becca Bish, and Hope Van Scoy, and I'm very happy that 2 of the 3 of our candidates were able to make it here tonight, and I want to invite them, if they want to turn to the audience or the camera, and just introduce themselves so everyone has a face with the name and knows who's running. So, Anna?
Hi, I'm Hannah Bird. Hi, everybody here. I'm Hannah Bird, running my 3rd and final term on the school board. I was happy to be involved in the hiring process last year. I was really excited with how the board all worked together through the process and built consensus. And then I want to thank the admin team for their collaboration in the hiring process. I think that we really stayed centered on the student-centered goals, and we're happy to help out. I'm pretty excited about the recalibration of the 0% tax levy. I understand we can't do that every year, but it feels like there's a renewed sense of balance between the burden on the taxpayer and our very important education mission here at school. And I'd like to sort of keep setting that tone, keep working along that vein for the next 3 years.
And then Hope.
Or Blake. Yes, I thought maybe. Hope Van Scoy, and 7 score, -1. I arrived up on Candor Hill, way back in the woods, at a farmhouse. And the school has been the center of our whole family, even before I arrived. I was number 2, 3. Okay, it's always the child that suffers. But have a classmate here who entered in 1948 in 1st grade because we came before the days of kindergarten. Well, but you gotta know what's wrong because you're allowed to enter as long as you turn 5 by June. So there were a lot of 4-year-olds, and one classmate turned 5 in May. So she made it just before the call. So that's what's wrong with our child. No kindergarten. But I would like to speak on behalf of the other 2 candidates. You can't go wrong with either one of those. So, I won't feel bad. Not these hard work, but I really think you're very fortunate to have Becca and Hannah to serve. So, I'll be around whether it's on the board or looking over their shoulder.
She has been known to bring us mints and chocolates and all sorts of wonderful things.
That's great.
And I do just want to mention Becca one more time because she wasn't able to be here. I know she would have liked to, but we do appreciate that there was real interest in supporting the whole district. I had a couple other people come in and express interest, but this just wasn't their year. So I appreciate it very much. It's a lot to ask. I want to survive this year, professionally or emotionally, without the support of this administrative team and board. It's a really good board. So thank you. And if you have any questions, whether you're watching or are here, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to talk about this stuff. Yes?
We used to have on the ballot a money that went to the school for some, the library.
The library.
Not that anymore?
No, we still do that. So public libraries, it's not in here because they didn't get, so that's separate from our budget. We don't budget for the library. They budget for themselves. And if they want to put it on our ballot and have it voted on at our vote, they can, but that's on them. They dispute that? So yeah, this year they did. Any other questions? That's a good one. Okay, well, we did live stream this presentation, and we'll keep it up on our website. So if you have a friend or neighbor who wasn't able to attend or watch, because they're at a ball game or something, please ask them to watch it or give me a call, or do both. Both would be best. If you did watch it live stream, or you were here, and you don't remember something, watch it again. I mean, people watch Seinfeld reruns. This is got to be better than Seinfeld, right? But anyway, really appreciate all the support I had. I feel like I did my best, and I'm proud to be here, proud of this budget. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for coming.